Hello, and welcome to Cardboard and Plastic. Today, I have mail days for the last 2 weeks. I have been buying a lot through ComC, so I'm going to be getting back an order from ComC. It's probably gonna take another month. I also am gonna get another order together for CGC grading. However, with grading, I am really just souring on grading. It's getting worse and worse for me, and I mean, it's getting to the point where I'm just saying like screw grading altogether and just everything raw from now to the end of time. Um, so let me, before I get into my negative rant, and I'm going to do a rant today because it's just been bothering me. Let's look at some of my PC items here. So I waited about probably the last month. I had a couple Smiths cards for my PC in the Beckett Marketplace, and I was waiting for the 20% off because the seller that I was going to purchase them from always takes part of the 20%. So once that hit, I bought these, but I had to get an extra card to get over the $50. So here is some 90s cards here. So this is the electric quartz, but this is the gold version. And these are actually like really hard to tell in pictures. It's very obvious with the shine once you get it next to the regular electric quartz. But this is going to go directly into my PC. And no, I will not grade any of my Smiths cards. And if I ever buy one graded, it is getting cracked and it is going into a top loader. So here is my other Smiths card I got in that Beckett Marketplace order. And this is the gold signature for the MVP. And this is numbered out of 100 for the gold script. So really happy to check those off my TCDB checklist, trading card database, where I'm trying to get every Rick Smiths card possible, but I won't overpay, right? So, I mean, this was available on ComC for like $40. I'm not going to pay $40 for it. Beckett Marketplace, I think it was like 16 plus 20% off. That's what I want to pay for those cards. I had to get above $50 though. And so this card, I also collect a little bit of Reggie Miller. Huge fan of the Pacers in the 90s with Smiths, Detlef Schrempf, Chris Mullin, Reggie Miller, Antonio, and Dale Davis, Mark Jackson. So this is the 1995 Flair Playmaker card. So these are actually pretty rare. There's not a lot of these out there. So it's the lenticular. So it's like this 3D image. So pretty cool card to throw in my Reggie Miller PC. Here's a card, and I'm probably going to grade this. Now, with grading, especially with vintage, I want a couple of things, right? So if I grade this, I don't want to spend more than $10. So this is going to CGC, and it has a beautiful surface. It is off-centered, so it's not going to grade high, but it's going to get a 5 or a 6. And I think it's important to grade cards like this because it doesn't have any surface issues. So if a card is a 3 or a 4, there's a crease on it, and you know it's going to grade a 3 or 4. So if this card was the same card but had a crease on it, I wouldn't grade it. But I am going to grade this one because it just makes it easier if I ever want to sell it or show it off, and I know that this card is a 5 or a 6 because it doesn't have a serious surface defect. And if you go to sell a card like that, right, you don't have to like talk to the seller or have a return. For $10, it's a second opinion, and this card will gain value in a slab if it grades a 5 or a 6. So that's one reason to grade vintage for me, is to like really prove and show that the card is like doesn't have any serious surface issues. The second reason, and not with this card, is authentication. Like, who is going to produce a fake of that, even though he's a Hall of Famer? That's his rookie card. Who's going to fake that card off centered, right? It's not going to happen. Like, that's a real card. Now, if we're talking Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Kareem, like those rookie cards, that is when, if you even have a one or a two, you get it slabbed to show it's authentic, right? So for vintage, number one, authentication. Number two, to show that the card doesn't have any serious defects. And number three, the reason for grading two is maybe if you have a three or four, but the card has something very special about it, right? Like a perfect centering, right? So even though it has like a little crease on it, it has perfect centering, beautiful registration. That might be another reason to get a card graded. However, if you have an off-centered card with rounded corners and a crease and some snowing, really, what is the purpose of grading for that? It's going to add no value to the card. A raw collector may want it, but they're going to get it. And just like I saw a Smith's card I wanted, and I bought it. It was slabbed. I got home, and I got that card. The first thing I did is I got it out of that slab, and I put it into a top loader, put it into my PC. You are going to lose money if you grade crap vintage and try to sell it for a profit. People will buy the raw cards, trust me. And they're not going to ask if it's fake or real. Just put a nice picture up there. Unless you have like a Mickey Mantle. If you have a Mickey Mantle, grade it. People fake Mickey Mantles. Nobody's going to fake like a 19, let's say 61 Fleer, Al Attles, or any other Hall of Fame rookie card for that set, unless it's one of the big names. Right, so kind of my rant. Now the other rant. Ultra Modern, I am never going to put Ultra Modern into slabs again. I am done with that. So I'll show you. So I bought these two from a seller. Now I'm happy about the purchase. I got these for a great price. Beckett 9.5 for the regular, and this is the Topps Chrome and the Auto. So beautiful card. This is a 9, so it's less than 9.5. Doesn't have the 10 Auto, but the Auto is just as pretty. But this card is the Refractor Purple out of 250. Now, which card do you think is worth more? And really, this card is going to be worth just as much as this card, right? Because of the 9.5 and the 10 auto grade. So for me, though, I'm going to get rid of this one, and I'm going to get rid of it because I got another one, and I'm going to keep this one in my PC, right? So why am I getting Matt Olson? I like him as a player. 54 home runs. What was it, like 139 RBIs this year? And really 29, 30, really hitting his peak right now. So it'll be interesting to see what he does in the next few years. All right, but I'm going to get rid of this one because I went to eBay, I put a bid on it and won this one. It was like $40. The auto is just as nice. It's basically pulled out of a pack into a top, into like a penny sleeve right away. And yes, I mean, I could grade this, but I'm not. And this is my new thing, ultra modern cards. And I graded a lot. Unfortunately, I graded a lot of my Zach Gallen, Sandy Alcantara. But I graded a lot of those cards, and I wish I didn't. I wish I just kept those in top loaders. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to get rid of almost every ultra modern card. It really, I think from the 1990s to the present, I'm going to get rid of all my graded cards from 90s to the present. Now, I think my cutoff is going to be for basketball, 1988 Flair and before. I'm going to keep those in slabs for my rookie cards. Baseball. I mean, Hall of Famers, I might keep like some of my like 1989 Griffey in a slab, but really, I don't know what I want to do. Like, so I think for like baseball, I think like 1984, 85 is going to be my cutoff. Um, and football, really, I think like 1984 is going to be my cutoff. I do like the Marino and Elway in slabs. I like that year. So, ultra modern, I am going to collect, but I am not slabbing anything. Now, I will buy a slab if I get a good deal on it. And I think that's what's really going on right now. And this is my rant, even though I just ranted before. With cards being graded, we are putting 1.7 million cards last month into slabs. Now, granted, like probably 700,000 of those were, maybe even more, were like Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, whatever that new freaking Disney crap is. Like all this stuff and just goes directly from a pack to a penny sleeve to a card saver, like all this plastic in between. And then you send it off in the mail and you get it back in a plastic slab. And that card saver, they just cut it out and throw it in the garbage. So I think with sports cards right now, we're grading about 1 million cards every single month. And the majority of those are just ultra modern crap that people are just putting in there. They're trying to turn a 50-cent card into a $20 card with PSA 10, like a $30 card with PSA 10, and they pay PSA $20 to try to make a $1 card into a $30 card so they can make a $5 profit. That's what's happening right now. I mean, it's a $1 card. Like, PSA doesn't know the difference between a PSA 9 or PSA 10. I mean, you can argue with me in the comments. Please tell me, does PSA actually know the difference between a 9 and a 10? The answer is absolutely not. I have graded cards, and sometimes I get 10s, sometimes I get 9s, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. So, actually, a lot of times, the 10s are cards that I thought were worse than the 9s. So we're grading all this garbage. And just imagine, like, so I collected in the 1990s. And there was all the junk wax coming out. Imagine if I took all my Brian Taylors, my Kevin Moss, my Roberto Kellys, if I took all of those cards, like a Charlie Hayes, right? And then we see the issue with his son, right? With the Pirates. All his cards are garbage and slabs. But like back then, we just put things in top loaders. It was a lot easier. The cards went for money. We lost money. But now we're getting into grading all this stuff. And there's going to be, like, imagine if we went on eBay and saw like 50,000 Kevin Moss rookies. Now, some people like them because it reminds them of their childhood and they want a PSA 10 Kevin Moss. Good for you. It's collecting, right? Do what you want. The problem I have is when people take these cards and there's no nostalgia, there's no PC about it, they're not collecting, they're taking these cards and they're grading them for the sole purpose to sell to somebody else because the general person believes, because they don't grade cards, the majority of people don't grade cards, but they'll buy a PSA 10 because they think PSA knows what they're doing. And then you got people like Jeff Wilson, don't get me started with him. And now he made a video saying, let's make base great again, right? Let's grade base cards. Kids love PSA 10s. You know, I think it's up to the hobby to tell kids like PSA 10s of base cards are absolute garbage. Get a top loader. Get a penny sleeve. And you could buy 50 of those base cards and have a great collection instead of having that one PSA 10 of a card that they made 500,000 copies of, or even more. And in 10 years, that card will be worthless. If you collect raw cards, even if things go down, you won't lose as much money. And you'll have a better time collecting because you could buy more cards. And if you buy more cards, less of them will go down. So I could go on for about 3 hours about ripping apart grading, what it's become, and I really don't know like how the hobby's going to sustain this. We spend what is it like $40 million last month as collectors sending cards to these grading companies to grade. Like, and what else do people do? They buy wax for $500, or they pay a breaker to open up their wax for them for $500, and you get $10 back out of your $500 investment. And then we have the nonsense where that one breaker goes ahead and all of a sudden they have a case that has all these 1 out of 1s, right? So it gets to be big attention with the, was it Topps Tier 1? And by the way, Topps Tier 1 has some nice autos. I will buy those. For people that pay $500, they get a nice Hall of Famer auto, and then they put it on ComC for $10, and I'll buy that Hall of Fame auto for $10. So you paid $500 to sell me a card for $10. That is our hobby right now. And Jeff Wilson, right, is starting the Cards HQ. Everybody's saying, like, this is great for the hobby. He really cares about the hobby. All Jeff Wilson is doing is he is making a casino, a card casino. And he's teaching kids how to gamble. This is great, right? So there's going to be breakers. And then there's going to be a place where people and kids can go and do box wars. This is what the hobby is right now. If you ever have a chance, I believe his name is Rob Veras. He is the Burbank sports cards. Watch some of the videos and the thing he says, he makes sense. He is one of the few people in the hobby right now that cares about the hobby, wants the hobby to be successful, and sees all this BS that's happening right now with these pumpers, with these quote unquote investors, with these people that are telling you how to collect, how to grade cards, but they don't even understand how grading works themselves. I've graded thousands of cards for my PC. I know how grading works. And I know that PSA doesn't know the difference between a 9 or a 10. Anybody that grades knows that PSA doesn't know the difference between a 9 or a 10. Ran over. I'm going to stop. In the comments below, tell me what you think about grading. Are you going to continue to use grading? Or you're going to start to collect more raw cards, right? So I think we got to really hold back on this. No more grading ultra-modern crap. Have a great day. And if you want to grade crap, go ahead. Because it's your collection. Keep on collecting.